numbers 21 through 15. It's another annual tradition here at NOF, going through the roster, putting a list together, and see who are the top 21 players on the team. Now, this isn't solely based on their performance from last year. This isn't where we think they're going to be this year. This is a ranking just on the person in their career. So, as of 2024 going into the season, who do we have? Let's start off with number 21, Nathan Shepard.
Yeah, it wasn't positive he would make my list when I started putting this together. I think I ended up with him at number 20. It's kind of the definition of solid but unspectacular. But I think he was quietly a little better. And I'm going to let Nick talk on this because Nick's been pointing this out a lot. He definitely ended up having the better season than Colin Saunders, who got a little bit more hype when they signed those 2 defensive tackles last year. He started all 17 games, career high 3.5 sacks, career high 50 tackles. And he's pretty versatile. I think he can be your nose next to Brian Brzee. He can play 3 technique if that's the lineup you're going with, 6'4", 315. What do you like about him, Nick?
Yeah, I think he's just a solid player. Like he's been good. Like they signed him to a 3-year, $15 million contract. As you mentioned, 3.5 sacks. That's a good number for a DT. It's just such a weird season. They had 2 guys that put up decent numbers at those positions, and Brian Brzee didn't get enough hype. Nathan Shepard didn't get talked about at all. But, I mean, that was kind of the nature of the season, too, where kind of seeing these, like, little bright spots when they're kind of struggling to get to 9 wins. It's hard to see a Nathan Shepard shine through, whereas I think in a more positive season, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, that was a solid find. Like, he came in, he did his thing. The other thing is Nathan Shepard, he's not a big talker. Like, so he doesn't get written about a lot, you know? So that's another thing that kind of puts it a little bit under the radar. But, you know, I think he had a good season. 25 pressures. You mentioned good against the run, good pass rusher. I think he did his job, and I think they got their money's worth out of him.
When we came together to put the overall list together, I looked at it and I was like, dang, I left Shepard off. I had Kool-Aid McKinstry at 21 originally because he can be a starter on this team, and that will put him at the top. But I think Shepard, like you all said, he's a very solid player, and he deserves to be number 21 on this list. Now, let's go to the next player, Willie Gay at 20.
Yeah, I had him even a little higher on my list, a couple ahead of a couple more. And this is just one of those somebody else's treasure. You know, like I don't think it's somebody else's trash could become the Saints' treasure. I actually think if like the Chiefs reporters were getting together, I wonder if he'd be more of a kind of one of those number 15 guys for them that everyone just kind of, it just feels like whenever you read about him, whenever you hear their fans or their reporters talking about him, he was just a really appreciated sort of like number 3 linebacker for them. And he would make plays. I mean, he started number 3 linebacker, but he started 47 of the 57 career games he played. Obviously won 2 Super Bowls with them. Started 15 games last year, played about 60% of their snaps. Saints don't do that with their 3rd linebacker, but he has 4 career interceptions, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He makes plays here and there. Known as a really good spy, known as a good athlete. I picked him over some of the other rotational players like Nathan Shepard, like 3rd defensive back that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I don't know how many snaps he's going to get to play if he doesn't beat out Pete Werner for the starting job here, but I think he'll be the kind of guy who makes an impact in small doses.